Oh man. Today's the official podcast launch for, I don't know what the fuck we're calling this, but June 18th. And it is fucking midnight, basically.
You're right about that, 11:45.
Yeah. And Derek is stuffing his face with garlic, parmesan, and pesto pizza from Trader Joe's. If you guys don't know about it, do not sleep on it. Thank me later and pay me, because you're gonna want to, because that shit's really good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah, it's fucking... The whole idea of this podcast is to just shoot from the hip and have a genuine conversation. Nothing is scripted except maybe this topic that we're going over. But maybe in the future we won't even do that. Maybe it'll just be, what's up, Derek? How's it going? How was your day?
That's how I like to roll.
I do too.
What kind of problems did you face this week? Yeah.
Right. Okay, so then we can do that.
Okay.
So yesterday I was telling Derek that I had a really frustrating day. Spent a lot of time in my career dealing with people who kind of give you the runaround, and yesterday I felt like it was one of those situations, and it really triggered something in me that I just needed to vent. So whatever the topic of this discussion is, I'm not sure, maybe there's multiple topics, but I think the ultimate point that I'd like to touch on is how important it is to be able to talk about your feelings and be real and authentic and like say, I'm having a really rough day. Like just straight up. Like I'm having a fucking rough day. Yeah. 'Cause that's something that, as I was having a rough day yesterday, I was feeling a hard time saying that. Like, even though I was like, right, yeah, accepting it. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm dying inside over something so stupid, like all these like made up assumptions. It was like something happened that triggered this response of like this fight or flight response that I'm like, I know better than this. I know better than to feel this way. Why am I feeling this way, right? And I heard, actually, I heard a voice memo that I left myself not too long ago. I hope everybody can hear how crunchy that fucking crust is.
Dude, I was just gonna comment, that's fucking crust.
It's so good, dude. But yeah, so getting back to what I was talking about, and honestly, I didn't even want to talk about this.
To who?
Even now, like on a podcast, like I felt ashamed about how I felt yesterday. I felt like powerless or I don't know the word. Like I felt
apprehensive about.
Yeah, like I felt
sharing your emotions, being vulnerable.
I felt that. I also felt let down. Like I felt like a loser. Is what I felt.
You feel like you let yourself down.
Right. Like why? Because opportunities have come that turn out to just fall flat on their face, right? Yep. And I hate that, because a lot of the times these opportunities, I had an opportunity with this brand, and you know I put all this stuff together, and I was like came on to help them build the brand, and come to find out, like that whole company like crumbled. Like the two owners were best friends for years. They're not even friends anymore because the guy who decided to terminate my contract over no reason, just one day, and you know HR told me what was really going on afterward. But I, during that time, personalized that and felt like something's wrong with me. they're terminating my contract because I'm a fucking loser. And I was like, that can't be true. And that just led me into like this deep depression, but also led me into this place of like self-discovery. But like, you know what? No, it's not me, even though it feels like me. And yesterday was one of those days where it was like, it triggered that of like, I had hopes for this, and now it's probably never gonna happen. And I'm a fucking idiot. I must have said something wrong.
When you said you felt like a loser, can you feel that genuinely you did your best?
Yeah. And I was completely honest in my conversations.
Oh, thank you.
And I was very forthcoming. I made my intentions clear. I didn't try to act like, they asked me certain questions about my capabilities. And I said, yeah, I'm fully capable of that. As far as having stuff to show you, like tangible stuff to show you, I don't really have that.
Do you think that's why they let you go? That guy or that person?
No, and here's the thing. They didn't even let me go. They just changed completely different direction. And in my head, it was, we're gonna go this direction. And then when they get back to me, they're like, we're actually going this direction, which still I have opportunity there. However, it's not what I expected. And it just reignited like past situations where something similar didn't go as planned, and then I just like take it personal. Like it just like reignites this like fight or flight response where I'm like, I fucking botched it. I'm a fucking idiot. This is all my fault. Like, see, you can't do anything right. Dude, I was fucking spiraling yesterday, to be honest. And here's the thing too, is like I get on TikTok and there's 45 or 44,000 people who subscribe to my message about getting your shit together and positivity and all this shit. And here I am in my room screaming in my pillow because I'm having a response to some trauma. And then on top of that, I'm like, I feel like a hypocrite. What the fuck, dude? Like, you're supposed to know better. And it took a minute for me to realize I do know better. Just because I'm feeling this pain doesn't mean I don't know better. And it doesn't mean that I don't have a grounding truth. What's happening here is like a purging of sorts. It's like a situation happened that triggered trauma in me, a trauma response. And that response is going off. It's like just because the fire alarm goes off doesn't mean there's a fire.
Let me ask you a question. Did it make you feel like they rejected your ideas?
Right.
Okay. That's the reason why.
Or me as a person.
Got
right.
it. But you said you still had the job. You were still there to get the work done.
Right.
But did you just walk out? You just quit?
No, it was a bit of a different situation. It was more of it was phone conversations saying, we want to bring you on board. We don't know how exactly yet, but let's have a conversation. Give me another call with the partner. We had that conversation. It went well. Then they followed up that week and said, we're actually going to take a different direction. We're still going to have you. However, we're not going to do any of the directions we discussed. We're actually going to do this.
Got it. So this entire time you haven't been working with them.
No.
Oh, I thought you've been in the middle of working with them already, and they decided to reject you.
No,
this hasn't even started.
Hasn't even started.
And that's when you found out, everybody broke up.
Yeah, well, the whole trajectory changed. So in my head, I'm like, I had ideas.
Yeah.
That cork is a little.
It's okay.
But I had ideas of how it was gonna work, and then it didn't work. And here's the thing, here's what I know about my trauma. Any sudden changes in plans, I freak out.
Oh.
Because as a child, I never had security, right? So I was like neglected as a child.
Yeah.
So as a child, being a child of neglect, yeah, that stuff is really good. Word from our sponsors. Oh, disgusting. Pour the vinaigrette in your wine.
That's how good that vinaigrette is.
Fini Moderna. This is definitely not our sponsor, but Derek seems to love this balsamic vinegar. So what I was saying about my trauma and what it triggered is that one thing that I know is, and this was an issue with my ex-girlfriend, is that she wasn't the problem, it was me. Her schedule was so dynamic. So she would be like, hey, I gotta go do this. And then last minute, she's like, oh fuck, I actually have to go across town and do this. I would get angry for no reason. I have all the time to do that and help her. But because it's such a sudden change of plans, my brain
Can't adapt quick enough.
Is like, we're not safe. We're not safe here. Like, what if, and like all these scenarios start playing out. Well, what if you have something? What if you, and then we communicated about that and actually got better at it, whatever. But anyways, what happened yesterday was like a change of plans. It wasn't them telling me, sorry, Darin, you're not cut out for this.
Okay.
It wasn't that at all.
Oh, okay.
It was just, we're just changing the way we're approaching this process. You're still on board, but we're not gonna attack it the way that we discussed. We're gonna attack it this way. I took it as plans are changing unexpectedly, not like we discussed. I'm a failure.
Really?
Yeah.
That fast?
That fast.
Sounded like you skipped 2 steps.
Yeah. and as soon as I got the message, I was like, I fucking knew it. And it was almost like...
Wait, hold on a second. We're missing some steps here too. They're changing steps, but you're still part of the team. So right now, you're still part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this whole time they're telling you we're going a different direction, meaning we're going with somebody else.
No, like I'm still on the roster. The way that I took it was a soft letdown. So it was like, yeah, you're still on the roster, but we'll call you when something arises. That's how it was delivered, right? Our discussion was, you're gonna be the sole man for this job. And then it went to, we're actually gonna have a roster of people for this job. And you're gonna be one of those people. And we'll just call you when a job arises that suits your capabilities. What that says to me is, cool, yeah, like, that's just like an easy way of letting somebody down. That's the way I took it.
Okay.
Whether that's what actually happened or not, doesn't even fucking matter. None of that even mattered.
Is this a big company?
They're not big, they're pretty boutique, but they have pretty big clients.
Oh, I see.
So
I see. Boutique, I see what you mean.
They have pretty solid names.
Interesting.
Under their belt.
I know nothing about that business now.
Yeah, it's just like production. Look, they're doing their thing. And I know, I was talking, to my friend Leanna, and I was like, I know where I could help. I know what I'm capable of. Why I'm feeling like a fucking turd is just pure trauma response.
Yeah. What do you think it is? Let's tap into that.
It is that childhood trauma response of, oh no, sudden changes are happening. This is dangerous. Like, being a kid and not having my parents around, or my mom getting caught cheating on my dad, and then all of a sudden they're in a divorce. And one day I'm playing with my dog, and the next day I wake up in the morning and everybody's crying in my living room because the dog's dead. And the dog was like my best friend. It was like these massive traumatic like changes in life situations in life that anything that changes, it's like I'm unsafe. My body goes into, I'm no longer safe. something's wrong with me. Like I personalize it. And it's a way of protecting myself. So yesterday I find myself in this like self-loathing mindset. I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here and go on a hike and just get out of my head and stop being angry and whatever. Just go and talk to somebody and get it out. And I did. And afterwards I was like settling back in my truth and my confidence and my identity, my actual identity. So the whole point of what I'm trying to say is like, what I learned from this is just like I said earlier, just because a fire alarm is going off in a building doesn't mean that there's a fire.
True.
But if you act like there's a fire every single time, you're gonna do more damage than good. So there's gotta be, oh, people are setting off fireworks.
Yep.
There's gotta be a way to gauge whether you're in danger or not, you know? And when you are, cool, you take the precautions and whatnot. But like, in this situation in particular, it was like a fire alarm was going off. It didn't mean I was unsafe.
Yeah.
But I was acting like my whole fucking house is on fire.
You're feeling all the emotions of that.
Like I'm dying.
So how do you deal with that? What do you do to question yourself out of it, to lead yourself out of it, to rationally talk sense into yourself? Do you have a framework that you abide by?
I think the grounding truth that I have is really asking myself, how do you feel?
Okay.
I feel like a fucking idiot. Like I feel like a botch. Well, did you?
Okay.
Yeah, because I said something, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Well, is that true? No. Then do you have a reason to be upset? No, actually. I analyze everything and I compare it to, is that true? Is that true about you? Are you capable of this job? Yes, 1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you afraid of? And it's just all these external factors.
That's interesting.
You know,
it's like two paradigms colliding.
Right.
Because there's the new you coming in, and there's that old you meeting in the middle.
Right.
Together. And the new you is, no, I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. I've got this. This is easy. This is fun.
Yeah.
And the old you comes in too, that creeps in and goes, that sends all these emotions, and you're like battling in between, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, where it's just like the old you of like, see, told you you're a fuck up. See, I told you you're not capable.
Very easily.
You see, I told you couldn't do this. It's like, whoa, dude, whoa, shut the fuck up. Like, and I have to be kind to myself. And I sat there in my room and I just sat there and I said, oh, little Darin, the little me inside.
Now, do you think this is the subconsciousness talking right now, what you're saying, or do you think this is the consciousness saying it?
When I was saying that,
old Darin.
It was my conscious mind speaking to my subconscious mind, which is still the little 6-year-old me in there.
Yes. So they're both almost double teaming on you.
Right. So my now conscious mind is recognizing, is aware of what my subconscious child is doing.
Yeah.
And he's like turning all the knobs because he's afraid. Oh, there's a fire. And it's like, whoa. Hey, little Darin, hey, chill, man. Like, look, I get it. In your time, that served you. That panic, that your way of coping, it served you. However, you're good, man. Yeah. Look, we're good. And I have to talk to myself as if I am my 6-year-old self again. And be like, hey, man, it's okay. You're safe. You're good. Look at you. Look at you. Look at where you're at. Look at the opportunities that you have. Look at who's on your team. Look at the support that you have. Everything's okay, man. Just take a breath. You're okay. You're okay. We're going to figure this out.
So from 1 to 10 right now, where do you feel you're at right now? 10 being you're overcoming this, you overcame this.
I feel like I'm about a 9.
9, okay.
Today.
Okay. And this was yesterday, you're saying that
this was
happened.
yesterday.
Okay. So the framework can really get you out of it pretty quick.
Oh, dude.
Because I know people can dwell on that for weeks.
In being able to, and here's a key that people should know. Being able to talk to somebody unfiltered, just vent.
Yeah.
You know, like when my friend Franklin died and you came over and I was telling you how I felt.
Yep.
And you didn't say a word and I was just like, what the fuck? I know the answers. And I was talking to my friend Leanna, and she's a really good listener too. And I was just like, are you ready? Because I'm gonna vent. And like, she's like, please do.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel this, and this. Why the fuck does this happen? And this has happened before. And what the fuck is
It's like
wrong?
throwing up blood right now.
Oh yeah, it was everything, dude. I mean, it was all the insecure, all the everything, the anger, the frustration, everything. It came out, and then she said something, and I was like, yeah. And here's the thing: I know the truths. Everything that's coming out of my mouth, I know is a lie. I just need to get it out. All of this energy from my inner child. It's like he threw a temper tantrum in my mind and created a mess, and now I just need to sweep all that shit out. Mm-hmm. And when you sit with a friend and you vent, that's what you're doing. You're cleaning out your mind. You're releasing that energy. And at the end of the conversation, I was like, holy shit, like I feel so much better. I'm grounded back in my truths. And then, you know, today I woke up and these idiots were out here mowing the lawn at 6 o'clock in the morning, which you're not supposed to. By law, you're not supposed to do yard work before 8 a.m.
I heard about that.
But they were over here at 5:55. I was like, brrr. They're fucking. Anyways,
going at it.
Yeah, I went out there. I was like, I didn't say anything, but I looked at them and they saw me and they're like, oh, and then they like packed up and left. But I was wide awake, and then I fell back asleep, and then when I woke up again, it was like all this negativity, almost like the previous day wanted to come right back in. And first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning is tell myself that I am enough and I'm capable. I just start speaking to myself.
It's a must, yes. Yeah. I do it every day too.
Do you?
Yep. In my car before I drive. Because I'm warming up for about 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and I'll have my mantras and my, Yeah. Oh yeah.
And how do you feel like that benefits? How does it affect you throughout your day? Is it immediate or is it like a gradual?
Absolutely not. It's not immediate at all. It takes weeks to maybe 2 to 3 months to really see and feel a very subtle change. Like Elon Musk says, he goes, our brain works in bits. When it comes to the consciousness speaking or trying to tap into the subconsciousness, it works in bits, slower than a 56K modem. That's why he's saying you have to be concerned and worried about AI, because it can learn things in a matter of seconds.
Right.
Like something that you and I take 4 years to learn, 3 years to learn, 2 years to learn, it'll learn in a matter of a second or two, and it will override the old data and put the new data, and it executes it right away. So imagine a world full of technology overriding human beings because we're too slow to catch up. So my point is, when you speak to yourself over and over and over, it's a very slow process of bits and bits and bits and bits. Megabits, not megabytes.
Right.
Not gigabytes, right? So it takes time.
Yeah.
But you got to be, the most important thing is being consistent.
Right.
And I definitely feel the difference. Shortest amount of time, a month and a half. But every day doing it, every night doing it.
Yeah.
In bed, in the shower, just say it out loud.
Yeah.
And
it's really important. That I do it when I go to bed. And there have been times as I'm crossing into sleep, it's as if I am, dude, it's so wild. I can, when you believe something, your entire state of being, like when you know something to be true, it's like every vibrating atom that makes up your body comes into alignment. Like when truth hits your consciousness, it's like all of your being is like perfectly aligned in that moment that you recognize a truth. So when you are in confusion and chaos, your entire being shows it. Yeah. Like if you would have looked at me yesterday, you would have been like, dude, are you okay? And I wasn't.
I sensed it this morning when I was on the phone with you.
Right.
I was like,
you all right?
But right before I hang up, I was like, are you good?
Yeah.
Because I kind of noticed it. Yeah, I felt it. Yeah.
And that's what it was. And it was like I was recalibrating. I was like, I just need some time to like recalibrate. Yeah. And like these affirmations, the other night I was, I smoke weed before I go to bed, and I had smoked a little bit, and she's saying these things like, you are abundant. When I smoke weed, it helps me understand things like a supercomputer. I just felt my entire state of being shift into, yes, I am abundant. Like it was
she. Who's she?
It's this voice that I listened to.
Oh, I see. Okay, like
recording.
A recording. Okay, got it.
So it's like
I thought you were hearing voices.
No.
I just want to make sure.
Just some voice.
Like, wait, what did you say?
Imagine.
What was her name?
So when I listen to that before bed, there are times that that recording, as I'm falling into, I guess, theta brainwave before sleep, before I hit delta, it's like because they say your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between, it just takes what you feed it, lie or truth. It doesn't matter. You could feed it poison, it'll take it. Yeah. You can feed it truth, it'll take it. It doesn't distinguish.
Yep.
So when you're feeding it these affirmations, it's taking it as truth, as fact.
Yeah.
And dude, there are times I catch myself in a state of consciousness that I am fully aware when I'm in delta. I think it's delta.
Yeah.
I'm awake, but I'm like still asleep, or I'm about to sleep. And it's as if I'm sitting in an empty space with another person. I can't see her or feel her or anything. And every word that she's saying is absolute truth. You are abundant. You are enough. All of these things.
That's your amygdala brain.
Yeah.
That's your survival brain saying that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's hearing the recording that I'm listening to.
Oh, I see. It's hearing the recording. Okay.
Right.
I thought it was your amygdala brain saying this out loud.
And it's taking the information that I'm listening to as I'm sleeping, and it's digesting it.
Now I know what you're saying.
Yes. I agree. As truth, as fact. When I'm fully awake, like I am right now, if I hear it, I'll hear it and I'll agree with it, but it'll wrestle in my prefrontal cortex, like my thinking mind.
Yes.
My logic mind.
It would trigger an emotion for you to feel that's not true.
Right.
Yes.
I can wrestle with that. Yeah. But there are times when I'm laying in bed that I'm so in a relaxed state that my thinking mind shut off, and I'm in complete download mode, which I forgot who it was. Edison, I think, maybe some inventor. Okay. He would hold like his keys or some shit like that in his hand or something as he fell asleep on his chair.
Yeah.
And when he fell asleep, the keys would hit the ground, wake him up, and he would go and start working and like writing notes and stuff or whatever. Because in that state of theta or
knocking
delta,
out, okay.
When you
delta,
right when you wake up, that's when your logical mind is like off and your subconscious is flowing.
Interesting.
And people can become more creative, and that's where they get these ideas and shit.
Really? Like I'm gonna try that tonight.
Bro, I have woken up with songs like in my head that I'm in the dream, I'm listening to the radio and it's the #1 hit song on the radio. And I wake up and I'm like, oh, I gotta record this. And I get on like my voice memo and I say the melody and lyrics or whatever. Okay. Fucking, who was it? Bob Dylan or someone who wrote songs from, there's like a number of hit songs that were like classics that people got in dreams. Because in that state, it's just pure flow. It's pure just genius.
Yeah. It's a different state of mind, and that's where it's most active at that moment you're about to fall asleep. I see what you mean. It triggered it somehow.
Yeah. So when you're saying or when you're receiving these affirmations, as you're in that mental state, I have been aware in that state to the point of like being able to hear these truths and just fully receive them 100%. You know,
clear, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it is like magic, dude. You feel like you're sitting with a god almost, and like as if God himself is telling you, you are this, Derek.
Do this, do that.
You are that, you know.
The instructions are clear.
Affirming you. So, you know, I listened on YouTube. I put, it's like 12 or 8 hours of affirmations. They loop, but there's probably like 40 of them. And then they loop again or whatever.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
For 8 hours.
Like 8 hours. Yep, I've seen those pop up on my feed.
But that shit goes in your mind, dude. Like for sure.
Does it ever wake you up in the middle of the night?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. Oh, dude, one time I was listening to one, side note, and this turns out this bitch was telling people to kill themselves.
Are you serious?
Dead ass, dude.
You caught it.
I caught her.
Whoa.
I listened to one time. I woke up the next day feeling nasty, like off, just off. All my just cognition was off. I felt evil. I felt bad.
Interesting.
And then I remember the following night, or maybe it was a couple nights after, or whatever, I tried listening to the same one. I was like, well, maybe that was just me. Maybe I need to listen again. Then she said some shit of like, and if you feel like ending it all, that's okay too. Like, what, bitch? Like,
what was the title of this recording?
I don't even remember. But I looked her up. I was like, wait, hold on. I looked her up, and there's a lot of controversy. Like, a lot of her videos got banned off YouTube. She's like this spiritual teacher or whatever. And she's literally telling motherfuckers if they want to kill themselves, it's okay. Dude, what the fuck? So anyway, that was wild. And then there was another one I was listening to, some guy's voice, and it wasn't anything weird, but I got this weird transition. I was waking up from like I don't know, it was like a dream or something, but it sounded like I was listening to like a real evil voice. Like it was like a growling. I was like, what?
Gargoyle.
Yeah, it was like
gremlin.
Deep. It was like speaking tongues. It was like this weird in my ear. Oh, dude, it was so evil. Like I woke up, my heart started racing. When I was with my ex at the time, she was out here in the living room. I had fallen asleep before. I was like, yo, what the fuck was that? Yeah. And I never went back and listened to that shit. So I have one that I listened to, and it's trustworthy for sure. But
you know what works too for me is I don't put on the headphones because it wakes me up a lot. That's why I asked you if it wakes you up.
Oh, okay.
So I put on my earplugs that I see with earplugs every night, and I turn the volume just slightly up, just slightly. But just even at a low volume, and you have earplugs, your brain can still hear it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I do now instead.
Yeah.
Instead of having earphones.
Okay.
Yeah, because it would wake me up like 5 times in an hour.
Right.
Because, I don't know why, but I just wake up.
Yeah, sometimes it does wake me up too. I used to sleep with earplugs. I bought ear pods. Well, my buddy just gave me these guys, but I have some other ear pod whatevers that I would sleep with. But I had to stop because if I lay wrong on it,
it's big.
It hurts my ears.
Like bulky?
No, they're just like, they look like AirPods but black.
Oh, I heard about those.
Yeah, they're
work. Really good.
They're great. They're like $40. They're cheap, but they work. I almost like them better than the actual AirPods.
That's what a lot of reviews say about those black ones.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the power of affirmations, and back to your question about like how do you ground yourself when you're kind of spiraling like that. It's like, yeah, affirming yourself and having truths to come back to. Yeah. Like once that child in your mind starts throwing a fit, okay, cool, let them throw a fit. Don't try to fucking grab them by the back of the neck and be like, no, you listen here. Like, no, you're feeling something. And you have to feel that. And you have to let that ride out. And it might take all day. But just sit there and be fucking honest with yourself. Keep your mouth closed. Don't take any crazy actions. Just let it ride out. Feel the emotions and know that it's gonna pass. And know that it's okay to feel pain from your past. Trauma responses, like you've been through some shit. It's not just gonna go away because you got some new truth that you're developing.
Right, some consciousness, right? Not the subconscious. I always use the term to help people understand better what to do in that situation is run towards the emotion, run towards the pain, and like almost try to hug it, almost try to hold it, almost try to be with it, almost be compassionate to it.
Right.
Be like, hey, I understand that it's like the kid throwing the tantrum and crying and rolling on the floor. You're just standing next to him or her and you're just looking at them and you're like, okay, I know you're going through something. I'm right here next to you. Like it's okay. And I think I find it best for me when I do that because you're being compassionate to yourself. You're not like trying to run from yourself.
Or punish yourself.
Or talk bad to yourself, you know? Yeah, so that really works too.
Yeah, that's something that I learned as well. I had learned it before, and then I guess I forgot it. I was talking to one of my friends, Jeremy, and he does a lot of I think breath work and energy healing kind of stuff. I think that's what it is. Anyway, but he's a very in tune dude, and I have a profound respect for him, and he's been a good friend for a while. And we were talking one day, and I was sharing with him how whenever I felt afraid at that time, that I would reprimand my fear,
reprimand me,
to grab and correct. And
almost punish.
And I would be like, you need to shut the fuck up, sit down, I'm in charge here. And I would approach my negative emotions with this negative emotion of dominance, whereas I'm punishing myself because, well, in reality, I don't recognize myself. That is me. That fear is me. It's a rational response to something that might have happened in the past. It's not okay to go and be like, shut the fuck up and sit down. No, you say, hey, look, I understand why you're afraid. We're not there anymore, dude.
Yeah.
We're here. And I know that some things might look similar to that past situation that is making you feel this way, but we aren't there anymore. Let that go. It's okay. We're safe now.
Yeah.
And like you just said, approaching it with compassion and understanding. And he brought that to my attention when I said, shut the fuck up and sit down. I'm in charge here. He's like, he was so kind to me. He's like, I don't agree with you. And here's why. He's like, and he explained that whole thing. He's like, it's still valid. It's your inner child, and you shouldn't be mean to yourself.
Yeah.
You should be compassionate, and he's like, what would it look like if you approached yourself with love in these moments where you are feeling like a fucking turd, or you are feeling afraid, or whatever.
Yeah.
Out of alignment.
Yeah. One of my mantras every morning, one of them is, I trust you, and thank you for trusting me. And the best time to say that to yourself and to your third self, because there's three of you when I say yourself, because there's the body, there's the consciousness, and there's the subconsciousness.
Yeah.
And the subconsciousness communicates with the body, and the consciousness is always analyzing and trying to make sense of what's happening emotionally, which is your body. Like your body's experiencing emotions. Your subconsciousness is telling the body what to feel through events and memories and what triggers those memories. And your consciousness is like, well, I feel sad, I feel happy. So when I say, tell yourself, thank you for trusting me, and I trust you too. And when we do that, it's realigning our three self And we have to look at it in isolation, not in a psycho way, but more of a more holistic and spiritual way. And you have to know those three things are happening in the background. Those two things are happening in the background, but we're not conscious of those two things happening together, right? So whenever you have that self-talk, that's what I like to do is every morning in the car, I would say, I trust you and thank you for trusting me back. And we got this. And I go on with my other mantras, and I think that's so important to trust our subconsciousness and our subconscious trust us. Why? Because our us, the you and me is the consciousness, the prefrontal lobe, the prefrontal cortex. So we think of something and in the back, the subconscious goes, no.
Right.
I'm not doing that. I don't trust you, right? You have that emotion of I don't trust myself. So that's why I try to align myself of thank you for trusting me. And even though you can feel a little bit of guilt, because you're like, that's not true because you're using my past paradigm. But it's when you say that to it, it's getting it to trust you back so that it starts to listen to your consciousness of what direction you're going, where you want to go, what you want to achieve.
Yeah, how it aligns them all together.
Aligns them both together to work as a team versus one against one another.
Right.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so good. Yeah, one of my favorite affirmations is I trust myself.
Yeah.
And it's like
good. Beautiful.
Oh man, that's so true. I have these affirmations on my phone actually that they pop up every day, and it's right at the top, and it says I am positive about the coming days. Yeah. And then every few hours it
changes. It's dynamic screensaver.
So it's
look at that.
My mind is focused on getting things done.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
I believe in my ability to succeed. I put these things right in front of my face as much as possible. Because I know how real the fucking battle for the mind is.
Oh, yeah.
And it's for years, I would just learn something and then try to remember whatever that information was that I learned throughout my life, and then fucking 3 weeks later, I'm right back in my old cycles of behaviors. Yeah. Still living. Your shoes are so loud.
Oh, I know. They're so comfortable, but they get loud sometimes.
Yeah. But going back and then realizing, wondering why am I staying the same? Why isn't anything changing? Mm-hmm. And it's because I'm not keeping in the forefront of my mind my truths. I'm not affirming myself on a constant basis. Because your mind is either affirming or disaffirming yourself. Yeah. I don't know if disaffirming is a word, but I'm using it.
I understand.
So if it's so used to beating your kicking your own ass, then how are you ever going to change that? And it's by supplementing it with the positive shit. So if you're used to thinking negative all the time, and you read one positive book and you think that's going to change your life, you got another thing coming, because it might change your week, it might change your 2 weeks, or maybe even your month if you're lucky. But after that, you're going to fall right back into your old cycles. I mean, you've got 20 some odd years of negative thinking. You read one positive fucking book, that's not going to do much for you. This has to be a constant reinforcement.
Yeah.
And you got 20 some odd years of negativity. You need you need positivity for the next 20 to 30 years in order to really
override even maybe 20-30% of it.
Right.
To override it. Yeah.
Right. And it's a constant endeavor. It's a constant practice. Yeah. It's not, and I had the idea of I'll just read a couple books and I'll be good. No. This is a daily practice of self-improvement, and not just self-improvement, but self-regulation. It's a daily practice of being aware.
Yes.
Yes. And that's the only way to survive, I think.
Do you know what awareness is? How do you define awareness?
God, that's a good question. I just said that's the only way to survive. What I meant was that's the only way to live life outside of your old programs, which are given to you by somebody else. But as far as your question, okay, so
awareness.
What does that mean to me? I think it is a fucking shit. It's I consider it like a gift that we have to be who we truly are. It's a part of the brain that I feel like God has given human beings that separates us from all other creation, that make us like Him or it.
Him meaning a God?
God, like, awareness is the thing in the part in the human mind that separates us from all other creation. Like my dog doesn't know her reflection.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like my dog can't paint a picture or come up with ideas, She's just instinct. Yeah. We have the awareness to do that kind of stuff. So that's what I feel like it is. It's like it is our God-like characteristic.
Okay. Something that I've learned about awareness, and that's what I wanted to touch on earlier too, was you mentioned a few things. I forget exactly what, but you said something about practicing and making it a habit or being conscious about it, something like that. Yeah. And that reminds me of the awareness and actually being self-aware. It's the same terminology as being mindful. And mindful in some of the modern books, one of them being Limitless by Jim Quick. Yeah. He says being self-aware, being mindful is a superhuman power. It's a dimensional awareness. And that's what the Western scientific term would be used as. It's a awareness, it's a mindfulness, or even also known as the pineal gland in the center of your brain.
Pineal gland or whatever?
Yeah, pineal, P-E-N-I-A, I believe, pineal gland. You just Google it, it'll auto-correct you. So the pineal gland, the pineal brain, is not peanut. I always thought it was a peanut.
Wait, pineal gland.
Pineal gland, yeah.
Yeah, P-I-N, pineal.
Pineal, yeah, pineal gland, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to spell it exactly. How do you spell it?
P-E-N-I-S.
P-E-N-I-S. You got me too. What is it right there? Let me see. P-E-P-I-N-E-A-L. Pineal gland. Yeah, the pineal gland.
Pineal
gland.
You keep saying pina.
Pina. The pineal gland. The pineal gland. That's my Asian accent.
Like pineapple in Spanish.
The pineal gland is in charge of the self-awareness.
Wow, is it?
Yeah. Which in the spiritual realm is known as the sixth chakra.
Right. That's why they use the Egyptian symbol, the eye symbol.
Like the third eye. Mm-hmm. There you go. They call it the third eye. Some people call it the third eye.
It looks like the pineal gland.
The pineal gland. So if you actually enhance that part of the brain, it will help you be more self-aware and catch faster the connection between your prefrontal and your subconsciousness, your consciousness and your subconsciousness.
Right.
So practicing that muscle helps you catch the back and forth.
And how do you practice that?
So one thing I learned, it's crazy because I spent 8 years with my mentor learning this and being blind about it. So I've been trying to cultivate meaning practice it consistently. The mindfulness awareness practice. And literally last week he taught me a technique that blew my mind.
Really?
It blew my mind. We went to Venice Beach and we went to every Sunday night. I think this has been going on for 50 years now. Every Sunday night between 5 and 7 or 8 p.m. right before sunset, everybody plays the drums. Everybody brings their own drums and they play the drums on like, what do you call those things
Like
where like
bongos?
Bongos, yeah. Everyone's playing bongos. Everyone's got, I don't know these instrument names, but everyone's contributing to that energy, the grounding bass energy.
Yeah.
And me and him are there with my godkids and goddaughter and you know my compadre, who's one of my best friends in high school. And he says, come with me. And I follow him right to the edge of the crowd. And he says, look at that sun. He says, only do this when the sun is turning orange and coming down, because that's when the sun's farthest from the earth. So it doesn't hurt your eyes.
Right.
He goes, stare at that sun until you need to blink. And he says, right when you're about to blink, close your eyes and cover your eyes with your two hands like this. And he says, look at that light. So you practice looking at that light like this. Just put your two hands over your eyes and you see this bright orange, red dot in the center of your eye, right? Because you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, I've done that before.
You've done it before. He says, when you do that and you're just staring at the light, stare for it as long as you can. And even if your brain stops looking at it, bring it back. That is practicing the third eye practice, the pineal gland practice. Because the pineal gland, your monkey brain, the brain will always think of something else while you're trying to focus on something.
Yeah.
Right? We get distracted by our own brain. So he says, when you do that, keep focusing. And when you get pulled away, keep coming back.
Right.
Don't beat yourself up, he's always saying. And when you do that, that is practicing opening.
Right.
That pineal gland, that awareness, the sixth chakra, the third eye.
Wow.
And once it's open, it's always open when you're walking, talking, eating, running, working. That means you're mindful of what you're doing every moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and dude, I love that. There's a saying that says, if you're not being mindful, you're being mindless.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right?
And it's like, it's so true. And I think about that and what you just said. And wow. And what you just said is so powerful, because in prayer, I would be mindful of God and what I perceive God as in the characteristics and whatnot. It takes me outside of myself.
Yeah.
And I know we gotta wrap this up in a minute, but I think when I first experienced that level of mindfulness where I was no longer, like, I was so aware that I looked at my furniture in my room as if I saw it for the very first time. And it was so bizarre because I had never experienced existence like this before. It was almost as if I wasn't even a human being. Like I was, like I had taken on a whole perception of a I don't even know how to explain it. Like,
wait, were you awake or asleep?
I was awake. I was just pacing in my room, praying.
Oh, I see. Okay, you're praying. Got it.
And by praying, I mean like kind of talking a little bit. Dude, don't worry about that.
Oh, I'm gonna drink some water right now.
Oh, okay. So just kind of pacing and talking and thinking, essentially meditating. And dude, I reached this level of awareness that was kind of scary. And it almost felt like a dream state. And I remember talking to this guy, he teaches people how to do that. And
during sleep?
During meditation.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, that's funny, you reach that level. It's like, it takes people years to do that. I'm like, well, I mean, I've been praying for years, but I had never experienced that. However, as of lately, there have been moments when I walk outside and I see the sunshine and the birds and the trees as they are. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like this very actual, like you see things.
Like in nighttime?
No, in daytime.
Oh, daytime, okay.
Yeah, like you see the sunshine and you're like, we're actually in the dark, but the sun is casting its light on us. But like,
just at you specifically.
Or just the earth in general.
Okay.
And it's like, you actualize what's actually happening. The sun, what it is, it's a star. It's like there. And anyway, it's like existential is what it is.
I
like
see.
you see things like.
From a higher panoramic view.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's kind of freaky.
Yeah.
And if you're not well, I think you might lose your mind. And some people do, they go into these episodes of neuroses or whatever, and I've experienced people who have that, and it's wild. They just kind of look at you like, huh? Like you don't even exist. Like they're looking right through you, like you're a video game. Anyway, so to touch on what you were saying about awareness, I feel like when you operate in the world, and you can operate from that place of awareness, practices like what you said are so useful in getting there, because if you're able to do that, things like what happened to me yesterday, that trauma response that sent me into a childish fit, are less likely to happen.
Because you catch it faster.
Because you can catch it faster, and you can regulate your emotions better. You say, whoa, heartbeat's racing, I'm getting angry, I'm feeling afraid. Whoa, body, like what's happening here?
Yeah.
And then you can regulate and readjust.
That's so true, yeah.
So with that said, man, I love this conversation. It's been about an hour. But yeah, dude, you asked really good questions, and I'm stoked that we were able to do this. We weren't even gonna do this tonight.
I know.
Like I didn't feel like it, but
I felt like I had to just,
and I'm glad you did, because everything in me was like, I'm not feeling like this, but I'm at this place now where I'm like, nah, I don't act on what I feel anymore.
Because you're aware that you're feeling it, but you don't have to act on it.
Right.
It's not reacting to your emotion.
Right. So I was like, let me just let me go through with this. This shit's gotta get done.
Always have, the last 3 or 4 times we had really good conversations, and I always wish we kind of caught that.
I know,
because I think your audience would love that. That's why I'm like, this is push for it. You know?
And it comes natural for us. I think, we're gonna have more great conversations. But thank you, Derek, for your support and everything. And
I love what we got going.
Absolutely, and I'm stoked to have some more conversations. Thank everybody for listening, and until next time, love yourself, love your neighbor, and get some Trader Joe's pesto garlic pizza.
Yeah.
Adios.